Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Let's Talk is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. FrankWalkerLaw.com. Let the conversation begin on Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee with Let's Talk, and I have Hollis Lewis in the studio and Lisa Otey by phone. How are you doing, Miss Otey?
I'm good. I'm on safari. Don't tell anybody.
Well, yeah, you left us in this with all this ice and snow. We're melting a little bit, but you're in the sunshine.
Yeah, that's really unfair.
It's kind of deceiving. The sun is out down here, but it's not much warmer. It really is. So anyway, but hey, how are you guys doing this post Super Bowl Monday?
Well, I'll be honest. It's a normal day for me. I really didn't have any vested interest in whoever won or whoever lost. So I'm actually good. Yeah. Hollis, I don't know if you had a
I thought it was a decent game. It wasn't like it's definitely not the best Super Bowl, but I think there were some good stories. Just like so, Lisa, what did you think about the game overall?
I mean, it was kind of like the storyline that we predicted on our last podcast. It was defensive battle. Yeah. And Seattle won it. I mean, they just dominated the pass. And, I know for people that really don't understand, offense and defense in football, it was kind of boring. There wasn't a whole lot of passes, but the Seahawks, the way they manhandled the Patriots. If you're a defensive fan, you enjoyed that game.
And to that point, just for the amount and time and looking at the stats, when you look at that, that's a great play. That's a game that was played great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I know that everybody likes, quarterback throw for 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, all that kind of stuff. But man, when you have a defense that is like literally shutting you down. Yeah. I mean that's special.
And that's the old adage, right? Defense wins championships. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks had 6 sacks. Yep. I mean, when you that's
crazy,
and that's what I don't like about so that's kind of one of the things I don't like about when we talk about MVPs and stuff like that. Generally, it just goes to whoever had the best offensive performance. And Kenneth Walker is a running back. I mean, he had a great day. I mean, he rushed for 135 yards. He didn't score. He had a big long 30-yard run. But to me, definitely the MVP of the game was the Seattle Seahawks defensive line. I mean, they had fumble recoveries. I think there was one fumble for the touchdown. And you had 6 sacks in addition to whatever tackles you may have had. So they really just were the standout of the game.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to your stat with the 6 sacks, Hollis. They forced 3 turnovers.
Wow.
They also, 48% of the time, the offensive front put pressure on May. So overall, their pressure rating, and it was the highest since 2018 Super Bowl. I don't recall the teams in that one, but 52.8% pressure rating. So I mean, they just dominated. I mean, it was a thing of beauty if you like defense.
Yeah, well, and I think for the people who had nothing, no vested interest in it, I think it's hard for them to necessarily pick that out and say, okay, that's what's going to make the game. And I think when you get to Super Bowls, you get to playoffs, I think the hardest thing for people to understand is the talent of that game, of those games, those types of games on both sides, that you're just not going to, there's not going to be, I mean, it's a stretch when you get a complete blowout.
Yeah.
Because both of those teams have tons of talented players playing on both sides of the ball and special teams.
And I think to your point, when you talk about that concentration of talent, it's easy when it's the receivers, DBs, and things of that nature. But when that concentrated talent is offense and defensive line, particularly defensive line.
Yes.
And you can really show up in a way like that. That may be something that the average fan can't necessarily grasp. But to your point, I mean, just the pure domination. And like we've said before, defense truly wins championships. And it was that way. I mean, because even the Patriots, their defense was pretty solid. They didn't have a bad game per se, right? Because you did have that one defensive touchdown from the Seahawks. So the Patriots had a pretty solid game. It's just offensively they just couldn't move the ball.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that because both teams really did play well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you know, I've read some folks have talked about whether or not it was boring. I think that was one of the questions that showed up on my feed. Like, did anybody think that the game was boring?
Yeah.
From what I got, and even going in researching, looking at the stats and looking at this place, that I'm like, how do you find that boring? That's two teams that are just good, and you're supposed to take the best two teams. You're hoping the best two teams are in the Super Bowl playing, and I think we got that.
I think what they found boring was those 5 field goals.
Yeah.
That's how the game started, and it was like I think they were up at one point 12-0, and it was all field goals.
All field goals, yeah.
And so when you look at that stat, that isn't exactly setting the world on fire as far as offense goes. I mean, it kind of picked up in the second half with both teams, but I was shocked, guys, and I think that the running back, Kenneth Walker the third he was deserving, but to me, Jason Myers. The kicker for the Seahawks.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay, Lisa, you about to start some mess.
I am with you 100%.
You about to start some mess.
I know that. I love it. But seriously, I'm still mad. Like, I got up this morning, and I think I posted something on social media about the guy set a record.
So you thought he should have got the Super Bowl MVP?
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. You didn't think so?
I said defensive line. I would have gave it to that unit.
I'm actually okay. I could give that, but if you're going to look at
an individual player,
he's the guy. There's like no way he doesn't. He's not on somebody's mind, and I don't think anybody thought of him at any given time because he's a kicker.
So what'd you say, Lisa?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just so passionate about this right now. I really felt like he was a lock-in because, watching the game and they were up 12-0 and he scored all the points. I'm like, okay, all right, let me look this up. And because I wondered if there's been another kicker in past Super Bowls that has been named MVP, and it's never happened.
Right.
The kicker that's ever won a prestigious award, and I had to go back to, I think it was like 82, and it was a former Washington kicker, Mark Mosley.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember that person.
Yeah. He won the NFL MVP, but that was a strike season. So there was only like 9 games. But he made 21 field goals in those 9 games. And so for some reason, they awarded him that. But I was like last night, I was like, okay, this is going to be the Super Bowl that they finally name a special teams, a kicker, to MVP, because I really felt like if he hadn't kicked, I know that, the argument that I've read also is none of the field goals were long. I mean, they weren't, spectacular at 50-plus yard field goals. I think the longest one he made last night was like 41.
So let me ask you this. Let's say he makes 3 field goals within the range that he did, and let's say he has a 50-yarder, and let's just say he had like a 60-yarder. So let's say you can take whatever 3 you want from what he actually made. Let's say he had a 50-yarder, and let's say he had like a 60-yarder. Do you think he gets the MVP in that situation? But he had like 2 kicks that were just long.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's a shame that we don't know, and I'm going to say no.
You're going to say no?
I'm going to say no. I don't think even at that, I don't think that would have been.
It's not sexy.
Yes,
not sexy.
yes, that's the word.
But it kind of leads to maybe we'll go here in a second, but it leads to like even the Hall of Fame voting and how like our perception of things just may be off. Because to your point, Lisa, I mean, when you score the first points of the game, that actually set Seattle Seahawks up, and it gave them the space that they needed till their offense got rolling.
Yes.
So I mean, and he set a record. So whether you like it or not, it don't matter if they was chip shots. He set a record, and he set the team up for success.
And
he did his job perfectly.
And you're talking, what, 60 Super Bowls? The first time in 60 major Super Bowl games, this is the only person
who did that. Yeah. I mean, Lisa, you got a point. You got a point.
I get it. I mean, like I said, the running back is a more respected position, and the defense, of course, the defense was spectacular. They could have named almost any player off the defensive line, and I'd been good with it. But to set that record in Super Bowl 60 and not get the recognition that you really deserve, because if he misses those kicks, I mean, the game could have been
totally different.
Yeah, it's a different game. Well, like, again, so I just want to pat myself on the back. I want to give myself acknowledgement and encouragement, because I think I said last year, you don't trade a quarterback who was 14-3 and took you to the playoffs. And what I want to say is that looking back at Minnesota this year, they have a similar setup to Seattle as far as just you don't have a big superstars everywhere, but you had a solid unit. You were missing some pieces, but you had a solid unit. And I think the point I really want to make is that I think we're seeing now, because and like I said, these quarterbacks, they weren't great, right? These aren't great quarterbacks. I think we've been spoiled with the Brady and Mahomes. You got to have that great quarterback. Yeah. Well, I think what teams are going to learn fast is that if you build a team with solid defense, with solid offensive players, particularly offensive players who can work together. You don't have the egos offensively who just going to those hardworking blue collar guys who are going to do their job to the maximum, and you can place a quarterback who just doesn't make the big mistake and makes the play when he needs to make it. Because I think that's all it was. He had no interceptions this game, and he threw the touchdown when he needed to throw it. If you look at the game, and again, not to lessen it, he makes some good plays all over, but he did those two things. He made the play when he needed to make the play, and he didn't make the mistake, and that was it.
And what you're saying is he's not – the expectation that the newscasters and people had for him wasn't what you would think Tom Brady might have.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, I think the quarterback position sometimes is just the point guard. Yeah. It's the point guard that's going to get you 10 assists, going to get you a couple steals, and going to get you maybe 8 to 10 points. But he's going to run the team to the max. He's going to make sure everybody's in position. And I think we have to start looking at the quarterback position like that. Like, you don't always got to be the superstar.
And I think that's a valid point too, Hollis. And if you can find that quarterback, and I'm gonna put a title on him, just as a leader.
I like that.
Yes,
I like
he's
that.
just a leader. He's not trying to be Tom Brady. He doesn't need to be Tom Brady. He just wants to be the leader, and he's going to lead the team by example. He's going to work hard in practice. He's going to show up at the games. When he has something bad, he's going to turn around and try to make up for it. I think when you have that guy, I don't care what position, but I think what we're talking about,
is different. Yeah.
Quarterback is different. You typically want to have that superstar. I think everybody wants the superstar quarterback, but I think when you start looking at a guy who's just in it to win it, to be part of a team, I think that guy can just about take almost any team that has some talent around it, some pieces to it, to an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl or at least playoffs.
And I like how you said that, because I like you, because I thought you were going to say game manager, but I like that. Just the leader.
Just the leader.
You're just a leader out there, bro. You're just a leader doing your job.
And to be honest, I think Drake May was a little starstruck. He's young.
I can see, see that. 23.
Level between the two quarterbacks was completely obvious. Yeah. I think that when you look at both plays, they're both above average quarterbacks. I agree with you both. They're not stars. Of course, I was arguing with some people, well, actually Jerry, about Drake May. He said, he'll be back in the Super Bowl. I said, I don't know. I think both of these two quarterbacks got where they are, not because of their play necessarily, but the play of the whole team in general, the defenses that they have. I think that these two teams, they could interchange another quarterback with the same talent level, and they're still going to get where they're going just because they have all the pieces in place besides quarterback. Does that make sense?
I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Lisa, because I think if I'm hearing you correct, you're saying that the quarterbacks on both of those teams are good quarterbacks. They're not great. Mm-hmm. And if you added, if they were to leave, and you could bring in another quarterback, no matter who and where necessarily he's a former player, he's active on a team somewhere, and you bring him in, and he's played before. You put him in there, and he has that leadership ability. You think the teams could go back? Yeah, again.
They can go back to the Super Bowl with a different quarterback with about the same talent level. They've proven
they don't need Tom Brady.
They don't need a Tom Brady. They don't need, Patrick Mahomes. They just need, like you said, a solid leader, because all the other pieces that they have in place got them there. The defense got both teams there.
Here's where I would slightly disagree with that, because I think the thing that Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes do for you, they are going to they have, because their talent level is so high and great, I think they have the ability to do it over and over again, season after season. I think the issue with like a Drake May or maybe even a Sam Darnold is that, not to say it's a one-shot deal, but it could be sort of like the Jalen Hurts, where you're going to be up and down. You can be good one year, kind of mediocre the next year, where a guy like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes is going to keep the level so high that you're consistently going to be at least a conference championship or better, or you know what I mean? So I think that's slightly where I would disagree at, because I think it is important, because there's going to be, I think next year they'll start to figure some things out about both of these quarterbacks. And, it's going to be, we're going to see, are they going to raise their level again?
Yeah, there's going to be teams that are going to see them, they're going to watch them, and say,
they'll figure some stuff out.
We can put pressure on him. We hit him a few times. He gets a little uncomfortable.
Or it could be a situation in which, because you have such a dynamic, particularly like the Seahawks, you have such a dynamic unit that if one or two of those guys want to go and get paid, and then they're on the auction. Now, I shouldn't say it like that, but they're on the trading block, then that could sort of mess up the continuity of the team. So it may not even be
Contracts
a quarterback.
Do that.
Yeah, it may not even be a quarterback issue, because I think that's where the Patriots, and I'm talking about the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Patriots, that's where they were so brilliant, because they could plug and play guys. Right. So that guy could go, that essential piece could go, get a contract, get paid, and they can bring somebody else in, and they would maintain the same level.
Unlike the Vikings, when we sent a ton of players away and bring one in and think that one's going to supplement.
Yeah. And think about this with Sam, and I'll let you go. I'm sorry, Lisa, but this is my last point. But think about Sam Darnold, bro. He played for the Jets. He played for the Panthers. Like, he played for the bottom of the bottom teams in the NFL. Everything that he went through, all the strife, all the adversity, man, I'm telling you, that says more about him as forget a football player, a man. To go through all that, to go sit on the bench for the 49ers, you know what I'm saying? Just go to those terrible franchises, and then you go to Minnesota. You're 14-3. You're in the playoffs. You feel like you made it. You get bounced in the first round. Then the next thing you know, you don't even have a chance to build. Then you're out of there. Then you got to go to you're like this journeyman quarterback. Then you're going to Seattle. You're going to replace Geno Smith, Geno Smith has some great years in Seattle. Statistically, he has some great years, and now you win a Super Bowl, man. That dude's mind frame, man. I got a lot of respect for him.
Well, to me, what that is, and I tell people this a ton. The one thing about playing in the NFL, if you're questioning yourself, I don't care if you get cut, you're a backup, whatever the case is. If you're questioning yourself and doubting that I can't beat you out or I can't beat somebody out to get in the lineup, you don't belong there.
Wow, that's some word right there.
You don't belong there because there's nobody. Everybody sitting on that bench is thinking that there's somebody in the starting lineup at the position that I'm playing. So for me, I'm thinking. Let's say I was on that team. I'm on a team. We win the Super Bowl. I'm not a starter. I'm looking at that corner and thinking, okay, I got to get him next season. I got to go get him.
Wow.
Because you can't say I'm okay sitting behind him. And if there's one side that's really, really good, I'm moving to the other side and trying to get over there. I got to go get somebody. I don't want to celebrate a Super Bowl on the sideline.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So Lisa, let me ask you this. So we talked about the Patriots and probably the biggest football story outside of the Super Bowl and outside of the halftime show was the Hall of Fame. Now you had guys like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Deion Sanders. Basically, they all alluded to the same thing. Their opinion is that writers ought to be taken off the voters to be Hall of Fame. And Hall of Famers should be voted on by other Hall of Famers or at least guys who played the game. So, Lisa, what are your thoughts on that? And this has to do with Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick not getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leaning that way.
You're kind of leaning?
Well, okay, let me finish my point there.
Yeah, let her finish.
Okay. First of all, I'm learning things about this whole Hall of Fame, how people get inducted. It's a 50-member committee, which I didn't realize it was that many of them. And like you said, writers and, that they're involved. So I do like the idea of just having peers that have already been inducted into the being a part of that, but they're also going to remedy some things. I don't know if you guys, you may have seen this.
Educate us in the audience.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah. So first of all, I didn't realize this. When they've been doing their meetings, when they're deciding their Hall of Fame, people to go in, their inductees, they've been doing these meetings virtually since 2020. Mm-hmm. So they decided that they're going to abandon that model and they're going to go back to face-to-face to improve accountability. I think it's easier to, talk to somebody. It's just like the internet. You got, keyboard ninjas. If you're in a room with somebody, you're going to be more honest and a little more, less defensive when you're face-to-face. So they're going to do that. They're also going to move the vote closer to the NFL honors ceremony because they want to prevent leaks. All this coming out about Bill Belichick and Kraft not getting in there. They don't want that controversy. They want to move it closer and then do the ceremony and move on. And they're also this. You'll like this, Hollis. You'll like this a lot because you were on the bandwagon last week. They're considering releasing individual ballots.
100%.
And vote totals, and 100%. They want to promote transparency. So those are some things that they want to do to improve the process and make sure the right people are getting on the ballot.
So let me ask you this, Lisa. Now, one of the things that Terrell Owens said, and this is a point that this isn't Hollis Lewis saying this. This is Terrell Owens saying this, and I'm quoting. He said, if Robert Kraft isn't first ballot or in by now, because I think he's been on the ballot for a while, but if Robert Kraft isn't in by now, and he said if Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, he said Tom Brady shouldn't be either. What are your thoughts?
I don't know about that.
Because he's saying, like, if you're going to keep Bill Belichick off because of Deflategate, Tom Brady ought to be done too.
Well, that's probably true to a degree. Tom Brady's out on the field doing the work. He's out making the plays, completing the passes. They're on the sideline guiding him. I think you can't compare apples and oranges.
Well, let me ask this. Who's fooling with the ball? My question
Fair
is,
point.
if you're going to go that way, I'm going to come back and say, okay, Brady is taking the ball and giving it to somebody to say, hey, he ain't giving it to Belichick. He giving it to one of the
So you're saying Brady's
guys.
was hands on in the cheat?
Yes.
Brady did it.
If he done it, allegedly, if he was going to do it the way he would do it, he ain't got to go through Belichick. He's going to somebody. He's got a dude who's over there who's got a pump,
equipment manager,
somebody that he's working with to make that ball as comfortable for him as he needs it.
Did they determine, though, who was actually behind it?
Well, Brady, I think they all end up getting in some sort of trouble. I think Brady had got suspended, and Bill Belichick. So they all face some sort of sanction or punishment from the league.
But it's not stopping Brady from being on ESPN.
Oh boy!
But here, okay. So here's my thing.
Come on.
Hold on. I think Terrell Owens has a legitimate point. I think people would be dismissive of it just because who's saying it and his reputation. But I think it's a legitimate, fair point. Now, do I agree? Absolutely not. Because I think the thing that we can say with Brady is that he won a bunch of Super Bowls with the Patriots, but he also won that Super Bowl with the Bucks. So he had his time there, and then he had his time outside of that system. So he proved that I'm legitimate outside of them.
Okay,
but you know what I mean?
Okay, I do.
Yes.
And let me just say this: as a former player, and when things that you do wrong, there are major consequences. There are guys who are not in the Hall of Fame because of things that they've done.
Yeah, I can think of one right now.
Okay,
I won't mention his name.
See, and so my question then, I'm not a Brady hater. I actually love him as a quarterback. If you done something that was illegal for the game and was a benefit to you, and you got caught, and you can be a first ballot Hall. I don't understand how are we separating the things that are happening.
So are you saying like you shouldn't separate Belichick, Kraft, and Brady? They should all have to suffer the same consequences.
It's got to be the same.
So are you on the record saying that Brady should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
No, I think he absolutely should be.
I'm saying based off of the scandal and everything, and based off what they did to Bill Belichick.
No, I'm going to say to me, I'm thinking he's still a first ballot.
Okay.
But I'm going to make the case.
Okay, I got you.
He's a first ballot well before them.
I can't agree with that.
If he's a first ballot, so should Bill Belichick.
Yes, I'm okay. Look, if we're not going to hold anything against you, we're not going to. You were guilty of something, and if we're not going to hold that against you in your Hall of Fame induction, that's fine. Then everybody gets to go. If you're a legitimate first year guy, so be it. But it seems like we're punishing some people,
and
hindering them
other people
from getting in, and then other folks we're going to let them in regardless of what they do. Now, I think that's a problem.
I mean, you got a point.
That's a problem.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, so do you really think though that that's the reason? Because in the initial, when all this went down, excuse me, I looked at it and I was like, okay, maybe the reason why they didn't put him in first ballot was because of Deflategate, right?
Okay.
That was initial thoughts. But then also one of the changes that I didn't talk about a minute ago, I'm going to now. They're reviewing a rule that groups, coaches, and contributors with older players who have been on the ballot for multiple years, that they need to look at that, because one of the players that they're inducting is Roger Craig.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Running back. Well, this was his now or never. because he's been on the ballot so many times. I don't know what the regulations are, but this was his now or never. He was either going to get in this time or he's off the ballot.
To me, that's crap.
Thank you.
I can't buy that.
I have been run
I'm not
over
saying
by him.
I'm not saying Lisa's crap. I'm just talking about what they're saying.
The fact that you have to do something to help Roger Craig get into the Hall of Fame makes no sense, because here is the dude who was probably one of the best running backs
of the 80s.
And he can't get in. He's not a first ballot. How is he not a first ballot?
I wouldn't say first ballot.
God!
But he's not a first ballot.
Oh my God!
Because you can't say he was the best of his era. You can't say he's not better than Eric Dickerson. He wasn't better than Walter Payton. He's not the best of. So he may not be a first ballot, but he's a Hall of Famer.
But see, you see my point, right?
But he's right there.
Well,
he's right there with
hold on. Let's not go off on that end. But what I'm saying, Lisa, I do see your point, but at the same time,
they're having to choose people that are instead of Bill Belichick. He'll get in eventually. We know that he's going to get in. But he's not going to be a first ballot.
But the thing is that for Bill Belichick, that is the honor. The honor is being a first ballot Hall of Famer, not just getting in. Because here's what I'm saying: I understand what they're saying, and that sounds good, but that just sounds like an excuse.
Right.
Because with Bill Belichick, if you got the most Super Bowl wins as a head coach, and like I said last week, Bill Belichick coached the two greatest offensive and defensive football players of all time. If we're saying you coach the best quarterback in history and you coach the best defensive player in history, how are you not in? And again, not just as a head coach with Super Bowls, but you also got 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator, and you coach the best guy of all time. So you can't give me that, we just got, if that's what you're going to do, then have one for coaches, one for older players, and have one for modern players.
I think
but there's no way you can do that.
I think there is a group that after you get past a certain time, then you become, one of the
that's
older.
What she said.
Yeah.
That's what Lisa said that. Yeah.
But I don't think, some of these names that we're throwing around are, to me, some of the best players in the league, some of the best coaches ever.
Yeah.
And have coached some of the best teams ever. Now, accidentally, you couldn't repeat it 4 times or whatever. You did what you needed to do.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I'm happy that they're changing the process.
Yeah.
I want more accountability. Like, I agree with you, Coach. I don't care if you're voting on a middle school Hall of Fame. I want to see your vote.
Yeah,
I want to know. Yeah. I want to know what you voted for, and I want to know who voted for it. And I also think, because I think, Lisa, you said there's 50 total votes, correct?
Right, 50-member committee. Uh-huh.
And I think that 50-member committee should be rotated. I don't think you should just be perpetually there. I think you serve on the board. You serve on the board for maybe 2 to 3 years, and then you bring then that cycles out. You get 5 more, and 5 leave, and 5 more until you eventually can get a new board over a period of time. And I don't think you just have the same guy sitting there the whole time.
And I think that board has to consist of certain types of people, age-wise, in order to
100%, 100%,
to be able to go back and get some of these guys who are sitting out there.
Because I like the writer. I like having the writers on there. I don't necessarily agree that it should be only players, because I think the writers, because sometimes just because you're a player don't mean you're studying the game or you're watching the game. Some players just don't do that.
But I would think like somebody like me, if I were to have that opportunity, I would turn it down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would turn it down because I know there's going to be a player that's going to know more and is invested into the game way deeper than me.
And I think that should be like one of those things. Like, are you actually? It should be an interview process. Yes. Are you watching the game? Yes. Are you keeping up with everything?
Yes.
Are you a historian? So I think that's where writers come into play. But I would say to like Randy Moss and Dion and all those points, maybe you don't have as many writers because a lot of these writers, from what I'm learning, they're very sensitive. You know what I'm saying? They're super sensitive about everything. And I think maybe they should have a smaller group of writers to not make up so much of that board to have so much influence. And certainly rotate it in and out.
I think it should be players.
What you think, Lisa?
I think it should be 25, probably 25 writers, coaches, and then 25 actual players.
I'd say 25 players, 25 coaches.
See, I would say I would probably.
You don't need media.
I think you do need media.
I don't think you need media. Why?
I think
they're not playing.
But because I think media, they're covering the game, so they're seeing the totality of the game.
They're typing in a story. They're not playing the game.
But you don't. I don't think you have to play the game to understand it and to know who's great and who's the levels.
To pick between two superstar players. You need to know who you had to play against that guy, see him on film or something.
But you're not playing in every era, so that's not a fair. You can't do that.
I know. That's why I said.
Because you'll be biased to your era.
That's why I said that we needed to have all eras covered. Yeah. Different ages. But I think when you're sitting in that room and you're looking at some film, and so if I don't know this guy, so I'm doing my research, so I got him up on film, but there's something that I can see that I don't think necessarily all writers can see.
See, I would say, to me, you have players, you have coaches. You have admin, so you have GMs and owners sometime in there too. So you have those former GMs, maybe some former owners, like presidents and CEOs of organizations and teams of that nature. And then you also have media, and I think the media can consist of maybe those color play-by-play, those announcers, and maybe some writers too. So I think if you had that, and to your point, I think you have to have it across generations. So there have to be some older people in there, and it has to be younger people. So it has to be a range of ages across a range of sort of occupations within football. So it can't just be one thing, because like I said, if you're in that room as Carl Lee, the football player, and you have another younger person in that room, and we're trying to decide on who's Hall of Famer, you're going to be biased to your era because you played against those guys. So that's all you're going to see. You're not necessarily going to understand maybe how good this guy is, who's newer, because you didn't play against him, because you're going to be biased to your era. So I think you have to. I think that's where the media comes in, because they're going to be able to, I'll say this, they should be able to be across, generations. And I think if we have less writers and media in there, then we can sort of get the feelings out of it. Because I think they get in their feelings. Like if somebody don't give them an interview, they may want to keep them out because of that and do all those things. You know what I mean?
That's the it. There's the issue.
Carl,
yes, ma'am.
Carl, I think Hollis just called you OLD in a polite way.
You see, but only you would want to come back and make sure I knew that.
I said it, but I said era. That's what I said. I said era.
Let me ask you guys this real quick. So Bill Belichick obviously is not in on first ballot. He will be eventually. Do you think, and I know that this would not be ethical, it wouldn't be right, but they're humans. These 50 people on this committee are human. Do you think that they may have taken into consideration his performance while being the head coach at North Carolina?
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I hope they didn't.
I would hope they didn't.
I hope they, because those are, to your point, Lisa, those are apples and oranges. I would really hope they would not do that. If they did that to me, that's totally.
But in the back of the mind, maybe.
But I don't see how you even consider. Number one, it's college. It's not NFL. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not the Football Hall of Fame. And to me, what he did, like I said, I think it was a mix of Deflategate. I think Bill Belichick has a girly personality. He's not a likable person. So I think a lot of the media in that room, and maybe even some former players, they just didn't like him. You know what I mean? But even with all that, I just don't see how you get around his accomplishments. Well, I don't see how you do it.
And the same, and again, you talk about a person like Sterling Sharp. Now, you're talking about, it's clear to see.
Nah, that's different. That's different. We can't compare that. You could compare T.O., because I think T.O. is the perfect comparison, because they didn't like T.O. But I think
they didn't like Sterling.
But I think with Sterling, his career was just too short. I think they took that in consideration. He only had 7 years. So I think they was, again, he should have probably been in a long time ago. But I think with his career being only 7 years.
But in those 7 years, was the streak. There was a Jerry Rice guy that played for that team called the 49ers that was behind him in yardage and catches when they're both at their prime.
But it's only 7 years. But even to compare that, I mean,
so are you making the case too that if somebody comes in, plays all 7 years, goes Pro Bowl, All Pro, is not he can't be worthy of a first ballot Hall of Fame?
Again, as a player who played in that era, who understood what he did in his era, your perspective is different. If you're a writer and you're like maybe a touch younger than me, you didn't see Sterling Sharp in his prime, in his era. So what you're looking at 7 years, and you're just looking at the total. You go into the bottom of the football card, and you're just looking at the total numbers. And that's kind of where you're stuck at. You're not necessarily diving deep into
which is a flaw in the system
100%.
because you got to be able to find those people so that you don't make these mistakes and have guys sitting out there passing away before they get in and being notable players.
Yeah.
See, that's my problem. I for players who are great players, have been great players. I think the worst thing that happens to me in my mind is when a guy passes away before he gets his roses.
100%, I agree.
And so I don't care how you look at it from the media. I don't care how you look at it as the public. When you played against these teams, like I'm not going to say. If I have to go and say, if somebody were to ask me, you talk about running backs. There's all kinds of great running backs, right? I can pick and choose all across the board. If you ask me, was Roger Craig in that group? Oh, yeah. Do you think he's in the middle, top, bottom, or whatever? He at the top.
Yeah.
He's at the top.
Yeah.
And he was with a team that has a ton of great players. All their skilled guys or notable skilled guys, quarterback, Rice.
They're all in.
They're all in.
Yeah. So, all right, let me ask you guys this. I asked Lisa, what did we think about the halftime show?
I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah. I mean, and I liked it because the music was great. I liked the symbolic moments that they had in it. I mean, the real life wedding, I thought that was pretty,
I didn't realize
cool.
that was real.
Yeah, I found that out today. I thought it was just part of the performance, but it was actually officiated and celebrated, right there on the stage. I liked the part of it where Bad Bunny, handed his Grammy to that, young boy. And, it kind of like, I don't know, it kind of painted a picture of when, his journey from Puerto Rico to being this global star he is now. I like that a lot. And I really liked the graphic at the end of the performance on the, on the sign that said, the only thing more powerful than hate is love. So I felt like it was just overall, it was, I thought it was a good performance.
Yeah.
What did you guys?
I thought the music was a look, because to be honest with you, I've never heard it. I've never heard his music.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, so like the music, even though it was in Spanish, it was okay. The show was just, it was okay. I mean, I think the thing and everything you said as far as the imagery, like there was a lot of little Easter eggs and different things of that nature in there. So that was pretty cool. But the music was better than what I thought. But overall, it was like,
Yeah, and I don't know if this is for the Super Bowl, specifically for the Super Bowl. I don't know if I'm wrong when I say this, but like I think that the artists that we choose should be able to sing, play something that the entire audience can understand.
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like I got nothing against them. I didn't know him prior to, and it's not like I'm gonna go buy something of his. I don't have a problem with him being there. But to me, when you start talking about the Super Bowl, and you talk about something that's as American as it can be. I don't mean it in a bad way. I really don't. But
Rico.
But I get that too. But if you're going to give me a song,
you just want to be able to sing.
I want to be able to sing along with you.
So
I want to be able to say, "Oh, I like that. I'm gonna go get that." I like country music anyway. So he might have been able to get me. But I don't know a word of it.
And I just don't. Sang or danced the Macarena?
Say what?
The Macarena back in '93.
Hey, Macarena.
Oh.
No,
that is not. Again.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that people don't want to say it. And I'm probably.
But you just ain't. I mean, you ain't feel it.
I just didn't feel it because it didn't give me. Like I would have loved to have known what he said.
Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, that's actually a good point. Maybe like caption, but I don't know. It was just okay for me. So, in addition to the Super Bowl, now do any of you watched or do you pay any attention to the Winter Olympics?
I tend to watch the Winter Olympics. I enjoy
what is like your
the downhill stuff.
The downhill stuff.
Yes, I love that kind of stuff.
I was watching the parallel giant slalom, and it's basically they're on the snowboard and they're like weaving in and out of the flag, so they're going like in and out, in and out. When I tell you. That might be my favorite win, and I've never seen this before. This is my first time seeing it on Sunday. You had I think the women's and the men's. They was actually like this was the medal race. So I seen like the bronze and the gold medal races, and they have a short slalom and they have a giant one. So they have the hills are bigger. When I tell you. Like this was maybe one of the best. I mean, because I like the speed skating, I like curling, and I'm a figure skating guy. Lisa, are you a figure skating?
That don't bother me either. I like it too.
Lisa, how about you?
I actually like the skating, and I also like the curling.
Curling, yeah.
I don't particularly care for that.
I like curling. Curling is what's up.
I don't know if it's what's up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's fun.
That's relaxing. I don't know. I could just sit there and watch it, and they're so focused, and that's probably a sport I could excel at in the Olympics. Maybe that's why I'm attracted to it. But and I like bobsleds. I don't think they've done that yet. Right?
Yeah, I like bobsled. Yeah. And I like the speed skating too. I mean,
yes,
that's just like it's like a sprint with skates on, and it was hard for me to fathom how fast. And she's an American. Her name slips my mind, but she's just moving incredibly fast on those skates.
It's just unbelievable how talented that they have to be to go that fast on just a blade.
A blade, dude. It's crazy.
Man, I'm breaking an ankle, tearing my knee up. All of that. There ain't no way.
Vaughn?
What's that?
What did you guys think about Lindsey Vonn breaking her leg?
Look,
she's probably done.
I could not, but now, and to put it in context for those who don't know, Lindsey Vonn, I think in practice she basically ruptured I think she tore her ACL. And then she gets back out there, goes faster than what she did previously, and is about to compete for trying to get a medal again. And get this, she ain't 22. She's like 42.
Yes.
Like, if she can, I would say, man, if she could just compete, if she gets 4th, 5th, a bronze, if she can literally just maintain and compete, it's one of the most amazing things ever.
But I truly think it's like, I'm gonna give it the analogy of like football, man. Like I think that the parts of your body trying to do that kind of stuff, and as you get year after year, get older and older and older, it don't get any easier.
Yeah, she took a nasty fall.
Yeah, and when you try to come back off of something like that, man, you just can't. You're not like you're 20.
Yeah.
No.
But she's still competing. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that competing worth maybe something that's going to ultimately.
It is, because you got to think, this is the Winter Olympics. This is once every 4 years. So it ain't like coming back next season. This is, and she's 40 plus.
Like I'm saying, I'd make the case like I'm surprised that she's back.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it's somewhat. And again, I'm sure she planned on it. She trained and she did everything she had to do. But again, like I said, man, age has a way of finding you in a certain kind of way, and it's usually not good. And I don't wish that for her.
Yeah, I just looked it up, guys. USA Today reported she had a devastating injury after Olympics crash. So she's already wiped out. She had a ACL tear before. I think that's what we were referring to before the Olympics started. But
okay.
Then she broke her leg in a downhill crash at the Olympics 23 hours ago. So
she broke her leg. So she had two injuries.
Yes. Well, she had the ACL tear,
before.
And she insisted. Yes, before, during the trials. And she insisted on going through with the Olympics. And then just less than 24 hours ago, she went downhill and broke her leg in a crash.
Oh, yeah. So she's done now. She's done now.
Yeah.
And see,
wow, that sucks.
And see, and that's the competitiveness of an athlete. When you know your age, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You coming off of an injury already, and you're going to just still try to go out there and compete. Man, it's hard to walk away. You love a sport so much, and age is trying. You've been so successful at it, and now age is the only thing that's keeping you from for you participating, competing. You're like, okay, I can beat the age. I want to go against Hollis, and now I go out there. Then you go out there, you can't beat the age. You just can't. You cannot do it.
Wow, man, that sucks. Because I didn't realize she broke her leg.
It just happened. Yeah, it just happened like less than 24 hours ago.
Man.
But here's the thing, guys. I mean, when you play football and you completely rupture your ACL,
you're done.
You're done, right?
Yeah, you're done
not
for the
doing
year.
anything.
You're done for a year.
Yeah. And she's out there.
Girl, how did she even get on a pair of skis?
Who let her go?
But I think, to my point, it's like, who's going to not let her? Because this is it.
Yeah.
Like I say, she ain't coming back no more. Like, you're done after. I mean, I guess, what is she? Lisa, you said she's 45?
No, she's 41.
41. So if she came back again, she'll be 45 in 4 more years. So I don't know if this is probably the last shot.
Yeah, this is it.
And at a sport that you're going at tremendous speeds going downhill. So.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, it's unreal. Yeah.
Well, I think we covered a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here, and we will be back again next week.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is presented by attorney Frank Walker and the all-new historic Coyer Diner. Comment on episodes, ask the crew questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee, and remember to like the page to become part of the conversation. Subscribe by searching Let's Talk with Carl Lee on your favorite podcast service, and tune in Thursday evenings at 7 or Sunday nights at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee.